Hey, greetings, everyone. This is Eric Stewart from Fishing Fanatics, and I have an awesome guest today. His name is Luke Palmer. He's been a four-year pro, going into his fifth year now on the Bassmaster Elite tournament. He got a start in the 2018 Bassmaster Central Open, and he had a really strong start with three top 20 finishes in 2019. Since that, he's added about 5 top 20s, including third place at the 2020 NOCO Bassmaster Elite at Guntersville. Along with that, he has career winnings of $400,000, which is insane. So how you doing, Luke?
Doing well, doing well. How are you, bud?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you joining us today. And I've on this podcast, I've interviewed a couple bass professionals and in the Bassmaster Elite tournaments. And the first question I always like asking is, what got you started into professional bass fishing? What was that one thing that really put you in place to kind of succeed in this industry?
I never really, honestly, I never thought I'd make it to this level. I just never thought that. I thought really fishing team tournaments with my dad was going to be my sole purpose in life. I had a good buddy of mine. He said, "Hey, fish opens just one time, just try it," and which I did in 15, and things didn't line up. God said, "Hey, this is not the right timing for you," and I was like, it hurt because I was already trying to figure out how I was supposed to come up with money to fish the elites in 15 because I had a good year, um, but it wasn't his timing, which was good. But I was very fortunate enough. I won the ABA national championship there, and I guess it's 18, 19, whatever it was, and that really progressed me the money to be able to go do it because as well as I do, everything's expensive, and but I just my timing was everything. If I'd have made it in 15, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. I was not mentally ready for that. So all the glory goes to God on that. Because if not, I'd probably been struggle busting right now.
So everything kind of lined up into that perfect storm for you to just kind of take off,
It did.
which is
It
really
did.
cool. And who were some of your mentors along the way that kind of helped push you to just get better each day? And even when you're out there fishing, maybe it's someone on a tour, maybe it's someone in your family.
My dad was always my main one. He pushed me to the limits all the time. I mean, not in a bad way. It was good though because it made me pretty good humble person. I could score 30 points one night and have 20 steals, and he'd be like, "Well, why'd you let that guy score?" And a layup at this time through the game, which was good because it always allowed me to not get out of my head, get in my own head and stuff. It made me a better person, made me a stronger mental person, and he made me learn it the hard way. Whenever I was 11 starting tournaments, he would the first year he would kind of make the decision, still run the trolling motor about half the time. When I turned 12, he was like, "Your turn, buddy," and he would run us. We still had takeoffs then, and we'd run to the first spot, and after that, I had made all the decisions, run the trolling motor, ran the boat, done everything, and by God, we got our ass kicked a lot. But it was a good learning experience for me. It because if not, I think it would have took away from what I have now. Because I mean, I'm probably the worst person on live because I don't catch a ton of fish. Champlain, I might catch a few fish, but everywhere else, it seems like I'm getting 5 to 9, 10 bites a day, and I'm like, woohoo, because that's impressive to me. But I definitely looked up to my dad. I watched Edwin Evers, Christie, which I'm having to fish against him now, which isn't near as fun as it is watching him on TV. Uh, but I really respect those guys. I've watched them. If you watch me and Christy fish, you probably see a lot of the same baits and a lot of the same rod and reels and everything sitting on our decks the most time because we kind of line up together as far as sponsorship wise too. So it's pretty cool to be able to go do stuff with him. We shoot some film together and it's very interesting watching him go.
Oh man, I believe it. And you kind of hinted at one of the questions I was going to ask you here is the whole thing with Lake Champlain. I saw it on your profile that's kind of like your hotspot. That's where you like to fish. What really separates that lakes from other lakes that you fish on tour?
I don't know. Whenever I first got on that lake, I think it took me about a day of practice. And the second day of practice, the first year we fished, which a couple of years ago, it was the year that Polinick won. And And I pulled up out there on my first spot, and I look over about 50 yards from me, old Paul, and here comes this big entourage. And of course, it's Paul, and he's like, "What are you doing out here?" That year we caught him out pretty deep, in that 18 to 26.
Mhm.
And but it was really, I had a lot of fun on that lake. Once you get on some type of pattern, you can just thrash them. I mean, it's that 20 to possible 100 fish a day lake, and and gosh, the last time we were there, I learned a lot more, expanding myself. Even though if you go back and you can watch, I got stuck on Gilligan's Island. I ran my boat on the deepest entire lake in the nation, and I found a sandbar in 6 inches of water, and I sat on it for 8 hours. So that was interesting. That was an expensive one of those expensive lessons that I learned. But that lesson I learned, we talked about God's plan and stuff. If I would have not had that happen to me, I found the spot that I ended up sitting on for 3 days, 2 hours prior to that. And if I'd have ran through and I'd have found this other stuff, who knows? I might have, maybe not. I would have ran, found something else, and been done. But I sat on pretty much 2 spots for 3 days and just tormented the heck out of them smallmouth. God, it was
Just
a
hammered
blast.
him.
Oh, it was
Jeez.
dumb. They would just come out in groves. I mean, I had a couple of wads that were anywhere from 30 to 80 fish. It was stupid. I mean, just absolutely stupid. So
Oh my gosh. So in that
that might be why I
situation,
liked it.
there's that many fish in there, right? That
Oh,
situation. What
oh,
are you throwing to just one after the other, just get them?
you know, I'm a very simple person. I mean, you can go, I have all my tackle in my Phoenix right there in my middle box. I don't have a bunch of extra stuff ever. I mean, I got 2 or 3 colors that I throw predominantly. I throw the warning shot a lot, and that's what I was catching a ton of them. Probably 80% of them was on a warning shot. I had a few on a jerk bait and a few on a hair jig, but I would sit there with that scope and just scope them out and just
Just
throw it up there to them, and it's like, oh, I've never seen that before, and they'd come 30 feet to hit it. So it was awesome.
yeah, when smallmouth get riled up, it gets real fun.
Yeah,
So
it's
I fished Lake Oneida, man, and it gets unbelievable up there.
I went last year. They were having the open there in between one of our tournaments right before, so I guess it had been St. Lawrence, and I
Mhm.
went up there and I had to get something, the service guys to look at something for me. So I swung by there, and I ate lunch there on the shores wherever it was at, and it looked good. Like, it looked real good, and I wanted to go, but I'm not going to get out there in the middle of a tournament going on, especially open and stuff. But I wanted to, but I knew at 200, was there 200, 220 boats on that lake, it would have been pretty packed.
Oh yeah, definitely. Funny story about the first time I went up to Lake Oneida. Went up there with me and my dad, just a little family trip, just to have fun. And we launched the boat the one day in the morning. We fished basically all day. We stopped to go get something to eat, and we're looking outside the bar because the bar's right on the water there, and we
Mhm.
see a bunch of cigarette boats driving out to the main part of the lake, and we're like, "What is going on here?" Next thing you know, we get in our 19-foot bass boat, get in it, go out to the main part of the lake, and I see 200. I kid you not, 200 cigarette boats coming at me this way. Dude, it was
Turn
it was
around.
terrifying. Yeah,
Oh
we
my
looked
God.
at it. We went all slow all around the bank because they are just ripping by you, dude. It
Oh
was
yeah.
unbelievable.
Throwing 6 foot swells at you everywhere. Yeah. That's miserable.
And we're getting chopped around. And my dad's looking across the lake. He goes, "Why don't we go fish over there?" I'm like, "Dad, I'm not cutting between these boats. Like, we're done. That's it.
No.
That's it."
Oh,
We launched the boat and that was it. But
I don't
it's good
blame.
stuff there. And
Oh yeah.
so one of your favorite techniques that I know, actually one of the videos I saw on your Facebook page, you caught a huge bass on this technique. It's the flipping and the pitching of the jig. Do you know what video I'm hitting at there? It was a recent post of you. It was like you were ranked number one for like the biggest
It's
bass.
Santee. At Santee
Yeah,
Cooper. Yeah, I was throwing a woolly bug, but I mean I was still flipping.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma, I think that it looks like that's all we know how to do in Oklahoma. Everybody that comes out of here, you got Biffle, Christie, Edwin, everybody that's kind of come out of here is like shallow water, and that's what I've grown up doing. So getting to do something like at Santee, what I did was unbelievably fun. I mean, whenever you're just jacked out of your gourd the whole time you're doing it, because you don't know what's going to happen if it's a 2-pounder, a 4-pounder, or a dang 9-pounder like that one was. That was what was really cool about that though, is I had just caught like a 7.5, and the camera boat pulls up on me, and which I had a camera with me, but I had bad service, and that little section that I was catching them out of was terrible. His signal was terrible, and I was thrashing them, man. It was like every other tree there'd be 2 or 3 on each tree, and the camera boat pulled up on me, and it's Kyle Jesse, one of my good buddies, and he's a photographer for bass. I said, "Man, you just missed it. I just caught a 7.5." He's like, "Gosh, dang, we'll catch a 9 or a 10." I was like, and a boat ran by a little section of trees that I caught like a 6 or 7 in practice, and I said, and he went by them. I was like, that was lucky. I didn't expect to go over there, and he's like 20 foot from me. I'm talking to him, and I catch that giant, and I pulled it around there on the side of the boat, and it just worked out, and I was able to hold it up to him, and he got a 2-page cover in Bassmaster with that picture. So that was like the icing on the cake for me. When your good buddy gets it and like get to, all of it goes together. It was unbelievable, and get to do it. I got to crack them with a Falcon rod that I've grown up fishing with, and get to hit them, and it was perfect. It'd have been
Yeah,
more
and
perfect if I'd have caught 35 the next day and won the tournament. But if I can get in the top 5 in the tournament against these guys anytime, I'm tickled to death with it.
it's awesome. And I love the story behind the background of that catch, because a lot of the times, fishing people or people that are in the fishing content, they'll see something like that and be like, they don't understand the entire scope of everything that happened. It's cool that you laid it out perfectly there.
Yeah,
I will link that video, will be linked at the bottom here too for all the listeners that want to go check out that catch. It's an awesome catch. Highly recommend it. It's the number 1 on the video. So I'll link that here at the bottom too of this podcast.
yeah. I don't think
Cool.
I could have hit that fish any harder either.
Yeah,
I
dude, you smoked
creamed,
it.
I creamed her.
You smoked that rod was bending, man, but it
Oh,
held up. That thing.
yeah, it was fun. Everybody expects you to be flipping with 25, 30, 40-pound braid. I actually caught her on 18-pound test, and I hit her that hard. So, Sunline, like the Sunline guy texted me and was like, "Hey, did you really catch her on 18, or you just?" I said, "No." He said, "Dang, you might want to ease up on him." I said, "Well, if I have to worry about my line breaking, I'm in the wrong business." And so Sunline's definitely props to them.
Shout out to Sunline, man. That's awesome. I love it. Little plug there. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about what you do behind the scenes of fishing, and a little bit of your life. So what I understand is that you work on your dad's farm, and you guys also have a couple other stuff going on. So why don't you just fill the listeners in kind of what your day-to-day looks like here?
I mean, we're from a small town, obviously. There's less than like 3,500 people here, and we've had a hardware store in the family for ever. It seems like, I think it's in the 40s from when we had the store. So it's just me, my dad, my uncle now in the store. And then obviously we have our hands that work for us and stuff. You can look in the background. That's where I'm at right now. We get off work here. We open the doors at 8, but you don't get here at 8. It's a 7:15 every morning, and we close at 5 and get off at 5:36, and then get out of here. And I don't live but just a couple miles from my dad. And so when I'm home, my butt's down there helping him, whether if it's, every night, when now we're feeding cattle till 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And then on the weekends, I don't fish much during the weekends during the winter. I try to go a little bit if we have some good weather, but it's normally fixing fence, putting out more hay, working on stuff, typical kind of your farm type deal. I do get to hunt a little bit. I almost kind of feel bad to be going and hunting because I'm a half mile from dad's house, and I'm thinking all the things I should be doing since I'm off work, because essentially it's daylight's dark this time of year.
Yeah.
It gets daylight at 6:37 and gets dark at 6, so it's the only time I see daylight's when I go out to lunch right now. So it makes for an interesting day. But that's what I have to do to survive on the elites. That extra pocket cash makes a big difference. I mean, my sponsors help out tremendously, but this is something that it would be hard for me to let it go. I mean, I know dad and them need to retire and go enjoy life because they've been here for 38 and 40 years. So I don't know. It's one of them deals. I'd hate to see it go, but this fishing deal is starting to get a lot of fun. It might be stressful, but it sure is fun.
It's a good family connection there, though. You seem like a genuine guy, and family's the most important thing too. So
100%.
that's what it's all
100%. I mean, if
about.
it wasn't for them, I mean, they've supported me day one. I mean, this is, I always go with the term, don't bite the hand that feeds you. I had an opportunity in 15 after just barely missing the elites, in 16 and going to fishing opens again. And we had some things happen around the store. And I said, I'm not going to leave the store. We're going to be shorthanded if I went and done those tournaments. I know it was only 3, but they were kind of, we're March, April, May, June, we're really busy. Everybody's getting out doing yard work and lawnmowers and stuff. So, and I couldn't do that to us. And, of course, we hired a hand or two right after the cutoff for getting in the opens. But like I said, hey, if I couldn't fish all 3, I wasn't going to just go fishing, and I wish I would have, just for more of experience. But, it was good for me because I fished ABAs that year, and everything snowballed into where it's supposed to. So I'm not going to complain at all about it.
Everything happens for a reason. That's something that
100%.
I've always lived by, and everyone kind of around me lives by too. So there's always a reason for everything.
No
For
doubt.
sure. So a few quick questions here. I'd just like to get general thoughts here. What's your PB bass, either in a tournament or just fishing and fun? What's the biggest bass you caught?
My biggest largemouth is 11 3/4. I caught it back in high school, actually.
Nice.
Smallmouth, I've had some in between the 6.5 to almost 7 pound range. So that it's hard to say. I know I've caught a 6.5 pound smallmouth is in a tournament because they weighed it for big bass and it wasn't big bass. So, but 6.5 to 7 pounds right in there for the smallies. And heck, that was in Oklahoma. I didn't even catch it up north. So, yeah, we got some giants around here. I mean, I think the state record in Oklahoma is like 8.5, something like that. Maybe it may be a little bigger than that. So, I mean, we got some gorillas, but you don't catch as many of them, obviously, but you find them, they're fun.
Yeah, that's an insane smallmouth. I wouldn't even know what to do with it. It's like a football.
Oh,
I get that.
I think the initial, when the guy broke the record in Oklahoma the first time, he caught like an 8.1 and an 8.3 or an 8.2 and an 8.3 in the same day in the tournament. Yeah, that's what I'd have said too. I'd been like, well, I'm ready to go home. That's
yeah.
That's what I said.
That's about it.
He had big bass. I mean, and I think he had like 24 pounds and 4 fish. So, I mean, but when you have 2 8s, that really doesn't take near as much to get to 20. But he had like 3 smallmouth and a little low 2 pound largemouth. He had like an 8, 8, and a 6, and then a 2 pound largemouth or something. That was before A rigs were even going. So that tells you how long ago it was. But
wow.
Yeah.
No way, man. That's a crazy bag for sure.
Oh,
8,
no.
8, 6, and 2.
Yeah.
That's fun. Good stuff. Cool, man. I appreciated talking to you, Luke. And it's one of the things I always like to do at the end of these podcasts, to kind of give you the platform to be able to shout out anything that you kind of are working on now. So why don't you tell our listeners, your social media channels, and then plug anything that you kind of want to plug here.
Hey, I mean, obviously I've got, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. That's all under Luke Palmer Fishing. That's kind of getting going. And I've got a little something in the works coming up. I'm actually going to get a YouTube started. My guy, he's getting it going now, and he's actually traveled with me, a good buddy, Aaron. And it's going to be a lot of fun because me and him click really well. He actually has come up and they have their own hunting show, Breaking Point TV. So he comes down. He actually shot a deer a couple of weeks ago down here. So it was cool. I got being on the tracking and helping him out. So it's a lot of fun. So I think it'll be interesting. You'll get to see the a lot of people know the hardware life, Luke, but they don't know what all it takes in the fishing industry. I do the camping deal, so you'll get to see start to finish in our 30-hour drive everywhere we go, it seems like. So it'll be interesting, be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. I mean, I never ever thought about doing a YouTube deal, but he's been on my butt about it. So we're going to see how it goes, and it'll be fun because he puts out some good content.
That's awesome. And I will definitely link that into the description here so people can go check you out right when they see this video. And Luke, I appreciate it again. And, great insight that you gave to us today about, catching fish and kind of behind the scenes, about your life too, about God, about family and all that stuff. So it's great talking to you. And, hopefully down the road, we can kind of catch up and film another one of these.
Sounds good, bud. I sure appreciate you.
You just listened to the Fishing Fanatics podcast with your host, Eric Stewart. Feel free to check out our other podcasts and our other interviews on our channel on Spotify, YouTube, and much more. Check out our Instagram page, TikTok, and Facebook as well.